seeing against this lifestealer here?
Usually BKB Piercing Disable, I guess, is kind of the obvious one sometimes. TNC Razor, another good counter pick, but generally things are just going to kite it and make its life difficult, or be able to disable it through the rage.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, like obviously Razor and Bane. I was looking at both heroes being in the pool, and they've banned them both, right? Because Razor walks the dog, Bane grips through the rage. Those are probably like the two biggest things. Obviously, because they had the ability to have this lifestealer as a response, it means they now get to protect it with bans. And like their game plan is making this lifestealer as big as possible, so they need to use these bans to protect it.
Febby's like, I'm the only one walking this dog. My tether is the only. You stay away. No one comes close.
And a lot of the other BK piercing disables, most of them are in the offlane role, right? So they're taken away by the fact that the Mars is here, unless they flex it as a 5. Some teams do.
I've seen some. You can put. Teams put it mid. Teams put it 4, 5.
That's true. Mid is more common in SEA, I think. It's also it seems like a Carl. It is a Carl here. I don't think it seems like he knows how to play the Mars solidly in the mid lane. It's similar to his Doom idea, but with more team fight. You can dive with him, which is Carl likes the most.
Yeah, I mean T1 have second pick this game, so they do get the last pick on the second phase and the last pick overall, right? So I don't know if we want Carl to have a bigger, game impact by giving him a later pick here.
Okay.
So I would probably think that Cuckoo was gonna play this Mars, but I mean the flex is there, right? I think now you have your combo with Mars and Willow. The Willow is gonna fear in the arena. It's gonna force them all to walk into the walls. It's gonna do massive damage. So they have like damage and team fight here already from T1, and the ability to pick off with like Mars Blink. So they're filling a lot of things already. It's looking like a nice draft.
Oh, interesting. Ogre Magi. Is it possible they're trying to actually take away the draft by winning the core-to-core matchup instead? Because Ogre, the Bloodlust, obviously the biggest thing to come to mind.
Possible. I mean, I think I see Ogre, and I think they're picking it like they see it as this strong laner who is, like you say, going to buff up their carry. Gives them an instant disable. Perhaps they looked at Mars Willow and playing into lifesteal like, okay, we don't really have that insta stun. I mean, unless you can completely catch him by surprise with a spear. So I think the insta stun is nice, the lane is nice, and the bloodlust. But kind of just to pick that is like, let's not show them anything. I think that's one of the strengths when you just throw out some 5 that is going to be good regardless.
Still have no answer for the actual IO itself, though. Usually you try to find something in the backlines that kills the IO.
I think Mars is pretty decent against IO, right? Because his idea is that he wants to relocate in a fight with his partner, and when Mars just arenas that, it captures them, it traps them. IO is a very squishy hero, so if they do get an arena on him, he will probably die.
Fair enough.
Pango and Grimstroke are interesting. I'm wondering if... So I was thinking that they needed a vessel for lifestealer to get into fights, right? Because usually when you have a lifestealer, you need him to get in. IO relocate is one way, but usually you'll pick some sort of like Blink Initiator, Centaur Mars type heroes, right? Legion Commander even, and then you just infest Mom. Oh god! Oh no! They gave 23 Savages Morphling.
Yeah, and there's the mana carry counter.
Yeah, because Pango is like, he's got a lot of control, right? But it's not instant unless he's blinking from fog with roll. So Morphling kind of has a free game here, right? Where's their lockdown for him?
Yeah, I feel like Whitemon's looking. He's feeling pretty confident right now after that one. This is it's such a good Morphling game against both cores so far. Definitely a concern.
Now you have the one pick as TNC Predator that needs to counter this or deal with this Morphling somehow.
Yep.
But it's not even last pick, so he's gonna get countered most likely by the last pick here by T1.
They need a mid that is pretty high tempo, I'd say, because you want to stabilize this game. Because your lifesteal is not really going to be able to make any moves. Your Pango's going to want to come out and fight as soon as he hits level 6. And your IO and Grimstroke are heroes that typically, as supports, can like run with an offlaner and make moves, right? You want to stop T1 before this Morphling gets his big items. Yeah, you're going to get last picked, but you need something, maybe some generic spirit hero, maybe some void spirit that can just basically get runes, bring your supports, get the runes, make moves, do stuff.
Completely unrelated, right? Do you guys know the T1 together in boot camp? Because we obviously have Fabby. He's playing by himself. He's not with the rest of the team. Do you guys know if T1 in boot camp?
Question. I presume they
We might get a chance to talk to them. We can find out. But some of the players there you can see playing at the TNC place. But I know, Febby is not with the rest of the team. I don't know if it's just him or also Zhao Yu maybe.
I'm seeing, by the way, from people that you are. This DK is not. I mean, look, he has
Oh,
insta stun. He
yeah.
can push towers.
Right, but like, where's your damage?
Yeah, once again, same issue.
Deja vu a bit.
It's the
Yeah.
same problem as last game.
Yeah.
Who's like Morphling, right? You blink, you used your stun on Morphling. Who's actually killing him? Where like?
It's gonna be the Lifestealer. It's really the only source of damage they have.
But I don't even know if Lifesteal is going to be able to output enough damage to kill Morphling. I mean, this is 23 Savage Morphling. Like, you gotta respect. Like, if this guy has any vision or any idea, he's going to get off Strength Morph.
Yep.
The ability that they have to kill him on TNC Predator is like solo. And what if he just rushes a Lincoln Sphere? Then your only form of initiation is actually just completely gone.
You've just jinxed him.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you've said he's always gonna have to drink more. I'm worried for him now. I thought it was a perfect morph game, but you know,
My bad,
you have not learned about the caster curse yet. But we're gonna quickly learn.
I'm a caster blesser. That's my.
Okay.
I'm a new talent. I'm actually anti you other casters.
I'm anti you other casters.
Yeah, well, I'm
It makes sense. You are a streamer after all. So we get the Timbersaw last pick for T1 here. And between this and Morphling, you have two heroes that TNC hasn't really answered. It does seem like a pretty free Timbersaw game for similar reasons to the Morphling.
Yeah.
It's it's a bit on the greedier side when it comes to offlanes, but I think that's where Carl playing a mid Mars, he's just going to take a bit less farm. He's going to be the playmaker. I mean, we saw last game. That's what Carl loves to do. So there's no reason Mars doesn't suit him. And the fact that it feels like they used that 10th pick of the draft effectively, which is something TNC couldn't do in game 1 with their draft.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts, Chipo? What do you think is going to happen this game?
I think 23 Savage is going to be 23 Savage, and Godspeed TNC.
All right. Gods, is that 10% chance alive?
It's maybe gone down, maybe 6 or 7%. I mean, I don't even know if 23 Savage has to carry this game. I feel like Cuckoo may just take over.
Yep.
Morphling, I mean, he will carry the game, but I feel like they're going to be just playing 4v5 and for a long time. So,
well,
tough
yeah.
one.
We're going to have to hear what the casters themselves have to say as we move it over to our favorite Australian and honorary Australian duel, which is MLP and John Xfire.
Thank you very much, Mr. Avo Plus. Of course, it is MLP Dota and John X5. John, welcome back. So, game number 2 between TNC Predator and T1. And John, I didn't ask you this last game. I'll ask you the hard question because you haven't had the chance to answer today. Who has the better draft? And I think we both know the answer to that question, but who has it, John?
Well, T1, they've got the specials out. We heard the panel, we heard Cheap say it. Savage Morphling, even Cuckoo Tim. You know, that's a throwback we don't get to see too often, but it's something he specializes in. So I'd say T1, Mike. I think we saw the reaction of Whitemon. We saw how happy he was with the draft.
John,
it shows the confidence of T1 there.
You may not have much time, John. These teams, they want to go out at level 1 again, it seems. But never mind, Cuckoo. It's kind of debating me. Go on, Jonathan. You were saying, you were even calling out. We were watching the draft, and you were saying, once you saw that Dark Willow, you wanted the Savage Morphling to come out. You kind of predicted it to be there.
I mean, it's just great. You've got the Ags combination down the line. I mean, you can always go E-Blade to burst people down, but the Ags combination with Willow, and even the Tim, right? You turn into Timbersaw, you've got 2 tanky frontliners just zipping around, doing pure damage. There's a lot of value here for the Savage Morph, and again, it's a throwback all the way back when Savage showed up in 2017 in TI Quals with Ginnispris. Like, this was the hero he was on, right? This was the hero he was known for along with his Terrorblade. So it's good to see T1 bring it out. We see it sometimes, but not too often. I think they're going to have a good time in T1. TNC, a lot of gelling issues. They have a low chance, as God's pointed out. I think everyone wants to cheer for the underdogs, but it's a tough road ahead for them.
Yeah, it's a tough road for Playhard right now, John. He's going to go through the maze. Zephyr, he'll get a bit of damage off, but in the end, we'll have to let Playhard go. And speaking of Playhard, he had a very tough game last time around. That Nyx Assassin just not really having any impact as the Pos 4. Do you like the Grimstroke a bit better? Do you feel like this offlane should pan out a little bit better for TNC this time around, or do you think T1 have it in the bag?
I think the Grimstroke can have a little bit more impact in the sense that it's easier to pull off the combinations for the Grimstroke. You can just kind of set up for your Life Stealer to run in, set up for your DK to run in with a Blink Stun combination down the line. They are kind of switching things around, which is something TNC does. So sometimes Febby does take the IO off lane and runs a much more aggressive duo, and we will see Playhard hanging around with Young God here. So there's a little bit more presence in the safe lane and a lot more presence up top. As you can see, Febby just kind of tethering up Xiao Yu, trying to ensure that lane runs well. And I think when it comes down to it, the key thing for TNC is when Febby has the eye, he knows how to play that on edge. He plays very sacrificial. He goes into that early holy locket and builds up from there. So I think giving Febby that priority in farm to build into that healing and sustain is definitely what TNC really needs to do, and they need to hit that spike early.
Wymon's being a real pest already, though, on that Ogre. One of those things, when you play this hero, you can just kind of run heroes down, but now Xiao Yu is going to try and go on to 23 Savage. They won't actually have enough to get through the strength morph. Savage, he'll be just fine. Because you want to get as much harassment in as you can before that Morphling does hit the level 3 mark. That's when it does start to feel rather impossible to actually kill him off. They'll try to turn back onto Whitemon, but he's going to be just fine. Tanky Ogre, okay to walk away. And of course, the last lane we haven't really talked about, John. Mid lane, you've got Karl and Yoe against each other. This lane, I kind of predict to be a little bit boring between these two, as you do have a Dragon Knight who just doesn't ever die. Do you predict anything happening here, or just your standard kind of trading lane?
Yeah, it's a standard trading lane. You can see Yoe skipping out in the Breed Fire. He can just run up, get the stun, secure range creep, get some harassment onto Karl. Karl's fairly tanky as well. He can clear out the creep wave with the Spear and with God's Rebuke, so it's a static farming lane. I think when it comes down to it, rune control is going to be a bit more important for Karl, so that's something that T1's going to have to watch out for, just grabbing those runes to ensure Karl can spam out his spells. Beyond that, it's the level 6 spikes we're looking for, the early arena, the early dragon form to get the push and fight going for both sides is really it, and beyond that, you're just going to sit in that lane, farm up, maybe get a support or two to help you secure water runes and power runes, but that's it.
Fair enough. All quiet across the map so far, 2.5 minutes in. Looks like, at the very least, Xiao Yu's having a much better time on this Pangoan. Well, even the bot lane going decently here for our Lifestealer. You do expect Cuckoo to be able to apply a lot of pressure on this Timber as he does get the XP up. At least for now, he is going to sit back and not overextend. He'll just wait for those levels. Especially once you start approaching that level 4, level 5 mark, things start to get very scary for these strength heroes. Of course, Young God being no exception here on the Lifestealer. See how they try and play around it. I suppose you do have that nice little movement speed buff from Play Hard with the Ink Swell if you do get run down by Cuckoo, but it's a Timber. He's very mobile. He's very hard to actually close the gap and just kind of get away from Cuckoo if he does have his eyes set on you. And say that about every core hero though for TNC. It's a bit of a rough situation here against the Timber.
Yeah, that's where the beauty of that last pick comes out for T1. Just a lot of strength heroes to rip through, a lot of ways to mitigate some of that healing coming out from the eye, to get some burst damage on and counteract that sustain. So I think Cuckoo's going to be a big part once he hits the level spikes. I think the passive lane still works out for Cuckoo. He has a better time clearing out the wave. You know, Young God's a very single target focused here on the Lifestealer, so he can't really harass back. He just focuses on the CS, maybe gets a couple of right clicks off. Timbersaw can be susceptible to the passives, but that does take levels for Young God to really rip through the armor. And that just means, again, another passive lane bot, passive lane mid. It's only really the top lane which can get exciting, but we have already hit that leveled spike on Savage. He's level 4, so you can just easily shift around with attribute, probably not in any danger unless they really commit hard here on TNC.
Absolutely. We have a TP coming in here. Zephyr is going to join up at that top lane, so maybe a bit of a gank attempt to come here from T1. Still very early. I mean, you've only got level 2 on the Dark Willow, but you do have the Cursed Crown and you do have the Bramble, so plenty of control if Zephyr is able to lock onto someone. I believe, of course, they probably will look for the IO, but bot lane, Young God, just barely surviving on the Lifestealer. As Cuckoo does begin to get very aggressive with the Whirling Death. It's one of those things, you leave Young God alone, he is not going to be able to sustain himself in this lane, especially while Cuckoo is at level 4 now. In the meantime, though, top lane, they've made the jump in onto the IO now, so Febby is going to be in trouble and does immediately go down. Xiao Yu, he is at least going to try and trade here with Zephyr, but it's not looking great for him. He'll have to go for a run, does try with the swashbuckle, but in the end, Zephyr's fine. In fact, they'll keep up the chase now with the Cursed Crown out. Xiao Yu, he doesn't really have a great way out. But try to walk into that T1 tower, but the chase is going to continue as now the Brambles does lock him down. He'll try to eat a Fairy Fire. Whitemon, how far do you want to go? Not far enough for the Ignite. Will be more than enough for the Ogre. No problem here for T1. In the meantime, mid lane, they were trying to make a play onto Karl. At least for now, he is just fine. Play Hard tries to wrap around and maybe get an Inkswell stun off, but Karl, he hides in the fog and He's going to be able to survive through it. In fact, Whitemon and Zephyr do move in from the side now. Yoe, he's going to try and move forward on the Ogre, but the arena is down. Carl, he'll initiate right onto that Dragon Knight. They're trying to heal him up with Febby, but he is dropping rather low. The heat even more verifies. Inkspaw's there as well. Yoe, he'll keep the chase up onto Whitemon. It might have something as he puts the hand up, and he does get the Ogre down. So the persistence does pay off from TNC. They'll be able to get a bit more chip damage off onto this tier 1 mid tower.
You can get a little bit more value from that Dragon form. That's the level 6 spike we're looking for. It's a lot of commitment from TNC though. Like 2 supports mid, freeing up the side lanes. You already talked about Young God kind of struggling up against Cuckoo. He's now level 5. Level 3 reactive, just a level 2 Whirling Death, enough to zone out Young God quite a fair bit. And that's going to be an issue. To kind of make this work for TNC, they need to secure that mid tier 1. They're going to have to wait for the next Dragon form on Yoe and take that objective they want to open up. They've committed a lot of wards here as well, Cliff Ward and Ramp Ward, just to ensure the movements from T1 are red. So I think that investment will have to pay off. TNC will have to focus in on mid. Once Yoe is ready, they've got to bring the numbers there to take that objective out.
Oh, that they absolutely do. Still a 1-2 right now. Very slight net worth lead for T1, but nothing to write home about. So you see Yoe just continuing to persistently hit that tier 1 mid, but top lane, Zhao Yu ain't going to be in a bit of danger as the Swashbuckle is away, but Savage is on the chase, and now the Brambles will lock him down. Zhao Yu, again, between a rock and a hard place, is not going to be able to get himself out. In the meantime, though, mid lane again, they'll make the jump in onto Carl, but he's going to survive. In fact, now Cuckoo, he does rotate in a nice arena. Carl's right on target, and Cuckoo, he'll just shred through the DK. No issues here at all. They trust Cuckoo to get the job done. Tips out from Carl, and well, Yoe, he tried, but a bit of wishful thinking there to try and go after that Mars.
Yeah, if you don't have the IO combination in hand, that DK will get ripped to shreds by the Tim. Heck, even if the IO was there, I'm not sure if you have enough regen on Febby to really outlast that burst damage. So that's where the beauty of that Tim comes in. It just manages to take control. With or without the IO around, TNC is going to struggle a bit with all these strength heroes. And T1, again, in a very comfortable spot in this game, like 1-4, 1k lead their way, freest lane of Savage's life so far, level 7 already. Gonna be rushing the Lincoln Sphere first for some protection from the instant blink stun. And from there, you're gonna be really well protected. You can see TNC again, Mike, grouping up 3 heroes mid. They've got the Dragon form almost ready to go. Again, they kind of lost out on that opportunity earlier because they split up. They still want that mid tower to be gone. It's just the side lanes get punished so hard by leaving them alone. Like, Young God's just chased out of lane. Cuckoo just runs up. He's got the armor. He's got the damage. You can't allow your life stealer to just miss out on this much farm.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate TNC trying to get that mid-tier 1 because it is going to cease the aggression that happened in game 1 against T1. But, I mean, you are sacrificing quite a bit in the side lanes to make that happen. At the very least, Young God right now does have some decent net worth. 3rd place in the graph, but it's like you mentioned, Cuckoo. Every chance he gets will continue to chase down this life stealer, making sure he knows he is not welcome in this safe lane. As again, you see the chase down. Young God forced to rage up, but now he needs a way out because Cuckoo, he might just keep chasing him. But there's no real reason not to. This is kind of the job of Cuckoo anyway, but he won't go too far. You look back at that mid lane, Yoe, he started again. That mid tier 1, getting very unhealthy now. Cuckoo, he'll be forced to rotate as Yoe tries to move back in. They do get the stun off. Rolling Thunder's going to be there. They'll commit onto Carl. They've got the Rolling Thunder. They've got the stuns off, but can they get the kill? Carl, he is still alive. He finally gets the arena down just in the nick of time. And Febby now, he's trapped up with Yoe. Yoe, he might just run away and leave the IO to die, but he is so darn low at the moment as Febby's gone. And now the Chakram just barely landing from Cuckoo. They'll move on to Zhao Yu. Tips out from the grave from Carl. And nothing works out here. For TNC, they are just trying to get themselves out. But Savage is joined on that Morphling. They'll go after the Pango, they'll secure the kill. Young God, he is trying to at least get a support for their trouble, but he's not even going to find that as Play Hard. He'll be another one to drop. Young God, I mean, all he can do is hit them a few times, but it's not really threatening to T1 as they move in with their own siege creep now, and they might find the first tier 1 tower of the game.
They're set up. A heavy commitment coming through here from TNC. That is 4 heroes mid to take the tier 1. The fight just doesn't line up. They have the durability with the IO DK, but they don't have the team fight control. Like, they've got Rolling Thunder, they've got Soulbind now on Play Hard, but doesn't have it leveled up. So your control to keep them down, your burst damage to eat through some of the heroes on T1 is just not there. And the commitment from TNC is not just in heroes. Like, we had those double ramp wards. We had even another ramp ward near the southern area as well. And TNC just committing so many resources mid, still not finding tower. That's bad news. T1 works the rest of the map. T1 still has control of their triangle, control of their top jungle, control of bot lane. They can farm anywhere and not get punished. It's just very readable what TNC is doing, committing so heavily on mid. They need to kind of change things up. Buy some space out for Young God. Try to get the life steal to at least hit the armlet timing. They are trying, but they're forcing out a lot of spells down bot here.
Yeah, bot lane, Zephyr, he's already got the rage out, and now the arena is there. Carl, he's found another great target into the Bedlam, and there's just not enough heals in the world to allow Febby to keep his cause alive. As Carl, he's feeling like he's in a great mood today, John. He's just tipping absolutely everyone. Another kill out for the Mars. 3k net worth advantage now, and this is where things start to get very, very south. It's T1, they're getting aggressive. You're still looking for that mid-tier 1 tower here if you're TNC, but it looks like they've left it alone for now, and well, Cuckoo's going to be there to defend anyway. They're just kind of stuck at the moment.
Yeah, and we've kind of seen this kind of playstyle with Timbersaw before. In a different tournament, I think it was JG we saw, actually, that played the Timbersaw down mid and just kept running down the mid, keeping pressure in the mid lane. So that push that TNC wants, and that mid lane's just going to naturally shove in now, Mike, and they're always going to have to respond if they don't want their own tower falling. This just keeps the movement of TNC in check. They're going to have to commit heroes here. Xiao Yu's already stuck in this lane, and Xiao Yu's the big part of making some plays happen. They're going to try to go for it.
Oh no, he jumped right into the brambles. Oh, that's unfortunate. Xiao Yu is going to drop. Carl's got a DD rune, so it's no problem. They go into that T1 mid tower, and they've got it. No problems here for T1. Just play hard. May get caught by Whitemon. Ignite out. Fire Blast, he should be in range very, very soon, but the team's not around. Won't really matter though, John, because they found the snacks in the triangle now, so Carl will happily take those away. TNC, it just feels like they're losing absolutely everything at the moment. They just can't protect any objective on the map from this dire end. Hell, T1, they want to go for a fight, it seems. More than happy to try and force something. It's Yoe and Play Hard, they both try to back out in time. They may have just made it.
Still using up a lot of time from TNC. Losing out the stacks is huge because they're so far behind in farm, especially under cores, that they need some sort of catch-up mechanic. And instead, T1 builds off an even bigger lead. They're trying to play down bot here, you know, Febby and Young God trying to get the push in. Woody, Io, and Lifesteal, but here we go again.
Yeah, nice rage up from Young God. Just in the nick of time as the spear was just about to connect, and Young God, he'll be fine to run away. But even if you miss that, it's kind of reaffirming the idea that you're just never safe as this lifestealer. Because Young God, he knows that. The way this game's gone, kind of surprised that he's actually managed to get to 5.5k net worth, considering how much pressure Cuckoo has been applying. But I suppose when you compare that to 23 Savage, who's at 7.3k net worth, I suppose it doesn't really compare. As mid lane, they found Xiao Yu. Xiao Yu, he's got Swash up in 2. He might make it out of this, but the Curse Crown's going to be there. He'll commit the Swash. He'll try to Rolling Thunder away, but the Spear is there from Carl. They will allow nothing for Xiao Yu. The top lane, Yoe and Play Hard, they're going to try and make the jump in onto Savage. That'll be a massive pickoff. They've even got the relocates. They've got a great pickoff for themselves, but now Cuckoo, he'll just come in with the Chakram out, just chasing down Yoe, but he needs some help, and the help is incoming. Play Hard, he'll be focused down now on the Grimstroke, but the relocate away is there, but however, they left the DK. Yoe is in trouble. He's been completely left alone. They saved the Grimstroke, John, but I'm not sure it's worth the trade.
They saved more than the Grimstroke. There was an infest coming through from Young God, so it's a double retreat, and that does make it worthwhile. But look at Carl, maybe a bit deep here.
Maybe. He's a pretty tanky boy at the moment, but he's been slowed up so darn hard. But the problem is Cuckoo's rotated again. They'll drop the arena. They might find Febby, but Cuckoo now, he's taking a lot of damage. Young God, he needs the gold desperately, and he'll get it. You just see his net worth shoot up, John. Second in net worth now, only about 700 gold behind Savage, but Savage has jumped in. He'll go for an easy kill onto Febby. We'll have to leave Young God alone. But I've got to say, I do love the fact TNC, they are tipping back. They're getting aggressive now.
Yep, they know there's still an opening here. They punished T1 for going a bit deep. no chance to reset for T1 in that defense. They get punished for it, and their mid-tier 1 does get denied off. So even though you don't get the gold, the map control kind of stabilizes here for TNC, gives them a little bit more breathing room in their triangle, in their jungle, just a bit more, allows them to evenly contest Roche to an extent as well. So that is a bit of a win for TNC, and they even have the net worth lead. As you said, Mike, we saw that net worth skyrocket for Young God with those kills. T1 still hold a 2k lead, but your lifestealer's not lagging too far behind. So we're seeing some keys for TNC. The blink up on Yoba does allow them to initiate as well.
Oh, nice towards top lane. He's going to give the vision out onto the support, so Whitemon might just drop, or maybe not. No, he does. They barely get enough damage off, so the Terrorize was off the mark. And now Yoe and Zhao Yu can get to work onto that top T1 tower. Bot lane in the meantime, Savage. Well, he's going to get jumped here by Young God. He's going to take a lot of damage, but Zhao Yu's coming in from the side with the Rolling Thunder. Waveform away, Savage. How do you get out of this one? He'll rage with the lifestealer, but the damage with the right fix is going to be enough. Morphling has gone too far. Just way too confident there from Savage. Young God does eventually get the kill going. Top lane, however, Yoe. He is going to end up going down on the DK, but now the relocate. Young God is there once again with the IO. They'll make the jump in onto Carl. Carl, how do you survive this one? He'll try to go for the Arena Spear, but nothing connects. He tries to run out now, but you've got the Infest. Not quite enough damage though. Carl does armor the toggle and get himself out. Still though, great kills across the map here for TNC.
Finding the isolation, picking them off one by one almost in a row.
Yeah, Zephyr now in trouble. He got stunned up by the Inkswell of Play Hard. And Young God, he'll pick up another kill. In fact, Play Hard will take it this time.
It's time for T1 to kind of reel in that solo aggression a bit. They play really strong as a team, but when they split up, TNC can bear the numbers. You know, they can infest play with relocate. They can bring in 3 heroes from across the map if in the right spot and just turn that around against T1. So T1 has to watch themselves, maybe build up a little bit more farm here, especially on, I think, Cuckoo and Savage really need to kind of hit those spikes. They've got the Lincolns to protect on Savage now, but I think you need to scale more in that Tim because he's feeling a bit squishy once the numbers are there.
Yeah, absolutely, John. We're going to find out how squishy right now as they make the jump in again. Yo is there with the Dragon Tail into the Rolling Thunder, but he'll use up and try to survive throughout all this. But they've got so much control. Cuckoo, he'll actually keep it with the chains out,
what?
And it looks like he might just make it. Oh, Cuckoo. The confidence to go for the chain TP and the immediate tip out onto Zhao Yu.
You love to see it. Cuckoo playing on edge does manage to secure that bot tier 1. It is denied off by Febby. But that again, that's equalizing map control for both sides. I don't think T1 minds too much. They still have a slight net worth lead. And with all of that focus on the Timb, you are buying space out for Savage. So he's not being rotated on. He's not the one being infest, relocated on top of. And you are buying time for your win condition to actually build up. So it's a good move from T1. TNC, you know, they're finding openings here. They're starting to build up, especially with Yoa and the Blink. Once you have that BK beyond the DK, that's when things can really kick into gear for TNC. I think that's when they're going to look to force even bigger fights out, try to get control, try to play with a pickoffs game. I think for TNC, they could use more vision, although.
Yeah, they've got another kill here, Whitemon. It's not the biggest kill in the world, but you take what you can get. You just kind of claw your way back as TNC, and again, they're just doing a fantastic job. Just being so aggressive with these relocates here from Febby and Zhao Yu. Cuckoo, he was spotted out top lane as well here with Young God, but Young God, he won't have the help to try and go after the Timber again, especially after what happened last time. We'll just leave him be. Only a 3k net worth deficit here for TNC. Not too bad of a game thus far, as they want to keep it up. They'll smoke up with Zhao Yu and play hard towards the north in that dire jungle, but it seems as though T1, they may have read the movement. They've rotated up 4 heroes here to get ready for this contest. Whitemon, he just respawned, but he is in position to break the smoke again. Savage, he thought about turning around to try and go for the fight. They'll let Whitemon die. TNC, can they find an objective out of this? They've got a TD rune available outside the Roshan pit. You know what that means, John?
Oh, God.
Into the Roshan we go.
Always, every single time, Mike, especially when I'm casting with you. It just comes out. And TNC get to work. They've got the damage to sustain. T1 does have some counterfight here, especially if Carl makes his way there, but he's a bit far. They need to stall out to get the group up. They are doing a good job of just pressuring Young God in and out, and it looks like they're not comfy with fully committing anymore. They know T1's aware, so they've got to play it safe. And T1, they're using the time well. You know, Savage is still farming. He's still not dying. He will have his Manta up soon. So he's very well protected on that Morphoid Manta and Lincoln Sphere up. Very defensive build up, straight into what looks to be the Daedalus next. He's just going to go for the right-click build, and eventually the Ags with Dark Willow with the Daedalus up. Shadow Realm right-clicks, Mike. That's when it gets silly. T1 going to be playing for the long game here.
And that's what we're waiting for, John. That's what we love to see. You do get that Ags up, things get very, very silly. T1, they'll keep tabs on the Roshan. Not willing to allow TNC to take that away for free. Naturally, TNC, they'll do the exact same thing in that Radiant Triangle. Just hang around, keep the farm going on Young God, but most importantly, stay around the Roshan pit. Always be aware of what's going on. Always just spam the Stroke of Fate here from Playhard to get the vision, just in case T1 try to do something a little bit sneaky. Another team really biting the bait from each other, though. Well, never mind, we do have a smoke up. TNC, 5-man smoke. It's a little bit hard to approach that dire jungle, though. They are watching all the stairways into that dire jungle, but now it's going to be another 5-man smoke out. T1, they want to try and wrap around. Ring around Rosie we go. T1 will completely avoid TNC. TNC right on their tails, but not quite close enough to break a smoke. They'll just kind of trade places here between each other. Xiao Yu looking to move up to that high ground. Savage, he's around. Whitemon, he'll break the smoke. Infest immediately out onto the Pango. Cuckoo just kind of baiting with the chains in as now they jump in. Xiao Yu forces the BKB out from Carlin. No, Yoe, he's been caught out immediately. They don't want him to die like this, but he's gone. Just so darn quick with the try and turn onto Savage with the Mayan control out from that Rolling Thunder from Xiao Yu, but nobody's dying. Absolutely nobody coming down here from T1 as now they get the spear out. Savage, he'll keep chasing down Febby and Young God. So they'll go towards the south. They want the bigger target, but towards the north, they've got Xiao Yu. That'll be your Pango gone. In fact, Young God, he'll try for the Rage TP out. He's going to make it. But now Roshan's open and T1, they'll have no problems moving their way in to get that Roshan started. But I've got to say, Savage is not looking too healthy. In fact, DNC, they did make their way back in now. They are still hanging around. They may have the time to try and reinitiate this Roshan pit.
They could try to be sneaky, but I think without your DK in the area, you can't really go for the steal, and it's going to be the first rush going the way of T1. They've got protection on Savage now with the Aegis up. They've had a hard time killing him off with 1 life, with all the defensive tools. 2 lives, kind of out of question. And TNC going to be knocking themselves a bit. They played super cautious when they had the DD in the Roche pit because of Cuckoo constantly spamming out the Chakram and Zephyr spamming out the Bramble Maze. They missed out an opportunity. So T1 now have a 6k lead, and they're just holding the triangle. They have good vision in this area, good ramp boards and cliff boards right now to spot the movement out here.
Nice little courier snipe, Young God. They won't be able to force the rage out of him, so they won't go in for the kill attempt. He always had the infest anyway in case Young God needed it. TNC back in that position where they're just going to try and create space and get that farm up. You're nowhere near out of the game yet, but you are 7k behind, and that's not really a position you'd like to be in if you're TNC. You see Young God, he's going to try and work towards that Satanic. The Savage, still working on towards that Eye of Skadi for now. And now the Blink finally up for Carl, which is, I mean, we're 24 minutes in, he's finally got a Blink available, just hasn't needed it up until this point. We'll see if T1 want to try and go for a Blink reveal with the smoke here, but they'll actually just slowly make their way over to that bot lane, join up with Carl and hope that this bait works here with the Mars, but in the end TNC, they will TP out, not interested in trying to force a team fight. T1 once again just kind of chasing TNC around. So spot out Xiao Yu. Ignite's going to be there. Savage. Force out the roll-up. It's going to be about it, but they'll chase down the others. Yoe just trying to run away. He's going to be just fine. Or is he? Because Zephyr now, he's going to find Febby on the IO. Terrorize is going to be completely whipped as Febby. He'll try for the TP up at Cuckoo. He's got the Yule Scepter. So that means Febby will be left behind on the IO. Another nice solid kill here for T1 as even top lane Carl is looking at Young God. You just need a spear to land before that rage does come out, and Young God, he has no idea as the spirit does come in. Savage, he'll join in as well. Young God, he'll rage up, he'll need a TP ASAP. The right-click damage is looking pretty damn high in Savage. He'll be able to get it off in time. Young God just barely unable to get out with his life intact. That one's going to hurt for TNC.
Just a great play again with the information here on T1. They've got the wards to sustain this kind of aggressive movement. They even spot out Yoa here.
That they do. Yoa 5 seconds away from the TP. He won't need it though. There's no chase to come. T1, I mean, 10k net worth advantage now. Still holding on to the Aegis on Savage. No real reason to try and rush anything. Got just so much control on this map. You see, I mean, anyone that shows in a lane right now, Cuckoo is literally just going to chase them down every time on this Timber. He just does not care.
Oh, yeah. He has a lot of counter control with Ults. He's got the Kaya Sanj running, some stat resist, a little bit more magic damage coming through as well. So he can just pressure the lanes by himself, play solo for the most part. It's going to take a 4-5-man rotation to handle the Tim, and even then it's not a guarantee at this point. With all the space T1 gets, Mike, they clear out the top tier 2. They take full control of the triangle area, lock down the rush for when it comes up again. And Savage should be finishing up that Scotty soon. So the right clicks for more for amping up, even more stats for Savage to juggle around. And T1 will just smoke. Like, there's no vision to spot that out. TNC just don't have the info to play against the aggression of T1 right now.
They saw Yoe. They also see play hard. Cuckoo happily just changed right into that T2 tower. Yoe, they're going to try and fight. Mars is there with the arena. They'll get 1 kill, but they want that Dragon Knight. Yoe, no TP available for 30. He's got a Blink Dagger. He'll try and find a way out, and that's a nice juke out from Yoe. And it may be just enough. In fact, it will be. They'll let him go. They only end up losing that support Grimstroke. The net worth, it continues to increase the way of T1. The Savage now have a look for a bit more with this Eye of Scotty now up. He'll spot out Young God. He's got Febby there on the IO, and that should mean he's safe enough to just walk out of there.
He managed to bail out in time, but the map is still under control of T1. TNC don't have much leverage to really leave the protection of these tier 2s at this point. Their bot jungle sworded up, their triangle is just taken control by T1, and now their mid-tier 2 is going to be pressured. They need to fight against this.
Oh, they're going to try and force a fight right now onto that Willow, and they've got him. Zephyr immediately down as now Savage will rage up initially with that Lifestealer form, goes back in onto Young God. The rage is there, Young God, but now he's fine. In the meantime, towards the south, Cuckoo dropping very low on that Timber, still dropping low, needs a way out, but will change towards the north as now Young God. He needs his own way out. He'll barely get the infest off onto Yoa as Savage is still playing with this HB. But Carl, he's been left behind on that mask, but it won't matter. He's a tanky target himself. He'll get down Xiao Yu as Young God continues the chase, but can't get the job done. Back in on the Cuckoo. They are still trying to kill this Timbersaw off, but he has the Yule Scepter available. Jukes out the stun, but eventually does end up going down. Now T1, not feeling too confident to stick around, will have to leave Whitemon behind. And I'd say that's a pretty successful team fight from TNC.
Managed to split it up, isolate a few core heroes, managed to burst down Cuckoo. I think that's the big issue there. Cuckoo was very low from the offset. They did manage to get a lot of healing reduction coming through there with the Spirit Vessel on Xiao Yu. And now they might find more. Savage is a bit slippery, so he's a hard one to lock in. But they are starting to get some moves out. I think that's what we need to see from TNC. Just go for the isolation plays, burst down the front line, and you have a lot of sustain now from Febby. So you can put Young God up front, play with a very defensive style with the Infest, and just keep resetting. Man, you have a lot of lives to give with healing coming through from TNC, with an IO, with a Life Stealer. You can just kind of go in and out, and I think that's, again, what TNC needs to do. T1, maybe reel in the aggression a bit. That was not the fight to take. I think if Savage had the Aegis up, they could have looked to play a lot more aggressive, but it expired beforehand. So just very well timed from TNC finding that opening there, Mike.
That it is. A bit of downtime now as both teams will wait out that next Roshan. And I say downtime, but either side may decide to get aggressive if they wish. It's like T1 just kind of slowing down though, not really wanting to give too much net worth back the way of TNC, which is fair. And God, he's getting to that point where he's starting to hit very hard on this Lifestealer. Of course, with that Eye of Skadi up, it makes Savage's life a lot more difficult in this Morphling. Some decent strength morphs off. So we are going to have a 3-man smoke now, TNC. Make it aggressive once again. Run through the mid lane. Cuckoo is going to be there with Savage and Whitemon. So they've got the backup if necessary. The way TNC are going right now, it looks like they're not really going to find anything. In fact, now T1 counter smoke with a 5-man smoke up. Carl just got his Satanic up, so bit of a power spike for the Mars as they may have just seen Young God. Cuckoo will kind of reveal he's smoked up though. T1. They may not be able to... Oh, Young God. Don't go for that creep wave, sir. This could be very, very dangerous, but the smoke has broken now on Cuckoo. Carl. Look around. Febby is going to get caught out, or does he? Spear not going to land yet, but there it is. The IO automatically gone as Young God is now chased down here by Savage. Yoe, he's going to try and jump in. In fact, Zhao Yu's there and Febby's brought back. They will go for the team fight. They will at least find 2 supports for their trouble. So you kill Febby, you force a buyback, but they get 2 supports anyway. In fact, they're going for more now. Savage has been caught out. He'll try to rage and walk away, but Cuckoo, he'll jump in. They're going to try and force the fight. Savage immediately gets the dieback onto Febby. Zhao Yu now, very, very low, but should be just fine as Young God. He'll try to go back in. Who are we aiming? It is going to be Carl on that Mars. But Carl, he'll get the spear off. Still armor toggling, still trying to survive, just barely alive in fact, because now he's still getting out of there. Carl, how do you not die throughout all this? Young God finally takes him down, but it does cost them quite a bit. These armor toggles from Carl's been a real problem here for TNC. Nevertheless, a pretty even team fight between the 2 teams.
Yeah, it still works out for TNC, even though it does cost them a dieback there on the IO. They do manage to get some good punishment. Killing off Carl is big, gives him a nice net forward swing, and they protect Young God, who does finish up his Satanic. He's going to be going into the Basher next, even more control coming out here from TNC. Better chances for Young God to leverage his 1v1 up against the opposing core, although Savage shows up pretty early here.
And he does. Young God is dropping low. He always has that armored Satanic, though. And they're just kind of posturing aggressively to force TNC out of the area, it seems. I mean, you've got Roshan back up in about 10 seconds. And I imagine that is going to be the objective for both teams now. As T1, they'll try to just kind of force their way into this Radiant Triangle. Just make sure TNC cannot get back in. They will have first dibs over the Roshan, which has now spawned up. Zephyr spots it out immediately, and you see T1. They're going to rush right over, John. No problems here for T1 to try and get this done ASAP. There is a scan out though. TNC, you do get spotted within that scan. And that is going to make it to T1. Are playing a little bit more cautiously, but they are going to go for the smoke.
Got the vision as well on the high ground, so they could look for the angle on the approach.
Best out onto Yoe, Savage. Oh boy, that's a lot of damage on Play Hard. He's immediately gone. Now Febby. Don't forget, he bought back earlier, so he will get the relocate out. Boy, oh boy, these supports. Just no chance of survival. Savage now does have the Daedalus up. And I think it's back into the Roshan pit for our Morphling. As Febby, well, eventually he was going to die. No chance of survival. Roshan will go the way of T1.
Yeah, no contestation coming through. Your biggest play was really just getting all 5 heroes in with a relocate, with a blink up on DK, and without that IO, that's just not possible. So with T1, get away with another free Aegis, and they've got the Daedalus up on Savage. His right-click damage is just insane now, going for the Satanic next. So it looks like we won't be getting our Dark Willow form here, Mike, with the Ags. No Shadow Realm plays. Maybe they're just going to bank on it in Roshan if the game goes long enough, but Young God
gets caught out. He's got the rage, though. How far are you willing to try and chase down Young God? But with the Inksworn, the shards up on Play Hard. The answer is you're not going to chase him down. So they get the tier 2 mid tower, and Savage now can get right to work on that tier 3. It's very hard to expect the defense to come out now from TNC. They are very low on buybacks at the moment. You might just have to watch this one go down. But you do have the Ags up now at the very least on Yoe, but he's 20 seconds away from having the DK Dragon form up. No real way to abuse that Ags. They're going to make the jump in onto Young God and force out the rage. Young God being aggressive. Carl can make the jump into the arena. Yeah, bought enough time for that Black Dragon to be up now for Yoe. Cuckoo, frontlining, is going to get stunned up. And there's your Rolling Thunder to come in and just kind of back him up. Cuckoo, he's dropping very fast right now and nobody's there to help him out. They've got the Timber down, and it seems like they are successfully going to defend this mid-racks.
They hold on for now. There's no Rolling Thunder. They could wait out the Dragon form, but you've still got Carl ready to go. You've got Arena. You have Savage with Morph ready to go as well. They can just kind of slow siege this if they want to on T1.
Savage going to try again. It is a little bit threatening without your Cuckoo Timber there. Maybe you just kind of want to see them just locked in the base at the moment. And the NT1, they'll accept the fact that they are not going high ground yet. You still maintain a 15k net worth lead as well, so again, you don't really want to throw that back the way of TNC. Yoe, however, even with this Dragon form wearing off, you want to try and force a fight. It is 4v5 after all, so I suppose there's never been a better time. They are going to find nothing, at least for now.
That was an awkward play. They smoke out, they drop the ward under its sentry obs. So T1 immediately knows there's a smoke play, and they hold high ground here in the bot jungle.
Be very, very bad times here for TNC as Playhard gonna have his smoke broken. Xiao Yu thinking about the Rolling Thunder, but he's been silenced up. They'll still make the jump in onto Savage. He is not strength morphing at the moment, but it won't matter. He is still alive as Xiao Yu's the one to drop. The Cursed Crown now is gonna be out onto Young God, who has no rage available, so Savage, he'll get right to work. That'll be Young God gone. That'll be Febby gone. Savage, he just plays on the edge with his HP. He had the Aegis up the whole time anyway.
Ooh, and TNC again, that whole move out. The smoke play would have worked out, but they dropped that ward. It's taken out by Savage. That lets TNC know where they went wrong, and with those kills, they can go high ground. I mean, there's no buyback on your life stealer. He's your main damage dealer, and it looks like they might actually gun for the tier 4s. Like, Carl's in position, playing with a bulwark, showing off what they can do, and yeah, Savage goes for it.
Why the hell not? Hardly any buybacks available here for TNC. At least you don't have Young God, and that's the main one you need right now. P1, well, they're going to force out the Xiao Yu buyback, and that'll be enough to go towards that top lane instead. Get the secondary lane of barracks. It'll be an easy racks to be taken down, as of course TNC, they will not try and force a defense, but now the T4s are going to come out. Savage, he wants a Young God buyback, but there isn't one available, so he's going to know to just go right after that Ancient. There's not really much to be afraid of here for the small fling as they make the jump in. Yoe, he's going to be alright for now, but Xiao Yu, he'll Rolling Thunder away. Savage, he's just trying to focus down the Ancient. They've at least got the Aegis gone. They're onto that Dragon Knight now. It's just such a long stun duration. He cannot move, and Yoe, he's gone. He'll buy back. He'll try. With Young God up now, they might be able to fight back. Factorina is down. They've got Xiao Yu again on the Pango. Infest to try and save, relocate out. They have managed to save Xiao Yu's life, but can they save Yoe? Not quite. It's a dieback immediately. The GG's been called. They are fountain diving them in this game number 2. T1. It was a much closer matchup, John, but I'd still say a